Okay, tonight here at the Institute of Real Estate Education, we'll be going through a number of questions which will be very helpful for those of you that are considering and have already decided and committed to taking the real estate exam for your state. Because what we're looking at tonight are a lot of national questions that will be similar for virtually all states. So let's just jump right in with the first one, which you're looking at on the screen right now. Which of the following choices would not be considered valuable consideration and therefore meet the requirement of a valid contract? Now, see how the word "not" is capitalized? That's what they're going to do, which is cool because they're not going to try to trick you by giving you a question that goes in this direction, then makes a left-hand turn there and tries to cheat you. I mean, it's if you don't see the "not," you're going to get the wrong answer. Because we don't want the one that's correct, we want the one that's not correct. Okay, so looking at this, would it be performing a service? No, that's valuable consideration. Would it be a lifelong friendship? Hang on to that one. That one's warm and fuzzy. How about a promissory note? That's good. That's promise to pay. A parcel of land with back taxes due. The back taxes due is irrelevant. If you're promising a piece of dirt or land or a lot or something as part of the valuable consideration to buy the property, that's fine. So it is B, folks, lifelong friendship. Lifelong friendship has nothing to do with valuable consideration in a contemporaneous real estate purchase contract. Everything has to be in the moment, not something that's, has been happening all your time. I mean, sure, it's, you know, I guess if you're buying something from dad or Uncle Bob or something, maybe a lifelong friendship or even a relationship with family might help, but that's still not valuable consideration. Okay. Valuable consideration would be performing a service, giving a promise to pay in the future, or giving them something else of value in exchange for what you're getting. Number two, please.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of them. And if you want even more review material, we have in the Prep My Exam link in the comments, we've got a plethora of practice exams, we have audiobooks, we have an exam simulator, we have everything that our students use to pass the exam on their first try. Okay? And if you want to get licensed in Utah, check out realestateonlinelearning.com and we'll hook you up.
We're talking about a valid contract now, and we want to know a valid contract for real estate should have what in it? How about consideration being notarized, a lease, or incompetent parties? What should it have in it? Is a lease part of a valid contract? It could be a valid contract, but it's not a valid contract for real estate. We want to know what makes it valid. Not with the top, not whether it is a purchase agreement or an agreement for possession. We want to know what makes it valid. So being notarized, forget about it. Incompetent parties, well, okay, I kind of like that one, but the real answer, folks, is consideration. Incompetent parties wouldn't make the contract valid, it would make it invalid. Okay, the opposite. So if you took the IN off of incompetent, then we'd have a conflict. We have two correct answers. So a valid contract for real estate should have consideration. Number three, please. Are you having any fun yet? I hope so, because going through these questions can be extremely helpful for you. For one thing, it gives you some experience of what it's going to be like to take the test. But also, these are topics you're going to actually see again. Okay, who must sign an agreement to sell a property? Who has to sign it? How about A, all the owners? How about B? We got one guy that owns 65% and everybody else splits up the other 35%. Well, no. How about the owner's agent or the owner's heir? Boy, those are throwaways. So it's either got to be A or B, all the property owners or just some of the bigger ones. Well, guys, it's got to be all, right? Even if you're just a 5% owner, you still have to sign that agreement in order, to sell a property in order to have a valid contract. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. I mean, I did one not too long ago where there were like 8 owners and one lady only owned 5%. She said, well, what everybody else wants to do, I'll just go along with it. After all, I'm just a 5% owner. Well, does that mean I didn't have to get her signature? No, and she never would come up to Salt Lake to sign it. So I had to hop in a car and and drive down to Roosevelt in order to get to sign the dang thing. But I had to in order to keep the deal alive. So sometimes you got to take it to the people and get their signatures. Let's look at number 4, please. Are having fun yet? I hope so. Number 4, D&E are tenants in common. Okay, now there's different ways you can own property in real estate, but if it's going to be alone, it's going to be owning it in severalty. But if you're going to own with someone else, there's about 3 ways to do that. One of them is tenants in common, but they both rarely spend time in the property anymore as their lives have changed over the years. So D wants an agent to list the property and get rid of it. So without talking to E, what can he really do? Can D sign a listing contract for the property? Well, yeah, I can sign it, but it's not particularly valid because you have to have all the owners sign it. Okay. How about B? No signatures needed to list the property. Oh, heavens, no. How about C? E can give verbal permission to list the property. We have this thing, guys. It's called the statute of frauds. It's pretty much the same in all states. Statute of fraud says things are not enforceable unless it's written and signed. Okay. All right, so let's look at E. Can give verbal permission. We already did that one. Look at D. Both D and E must sign the listing agreement. Yeah, come on, that's got to be it. They're the 2 owners. They're tenants in common. They both have to sign it. Hey, feel free to ask questions at any time if you saw Danny's little note there, and we'll get them answered. Okay, if you want elaboration on some of these, happy to give it. If not, we charge straight ahead because we've got about 20 questions to do. Yeah, well, maybe 19. Look at number 5, please. Okay, number 5 says P is selling a property to G, and they're each represented by agents. So who has to sign this purchase agreement? Who has to sign the purchase agreement? Okay. All right. P is selling a property to G. So P is the seller and G is the buyer. Okay. Well, all right. Who has to sign the purchase agreement? How about A? Both P and G, the purchaser and the buyer. No, the purchaser and the seller and the purchaser, and their agents. I don't like the agents being on there. B says P and his agent. C says P and G. Ooh, that one's really good. And G, and the other one is G and his agent. Well, if P and his agent was wrong, then G and his agents has got to be wrong too. So that leaves A, but it adds the agents in again. This is a purchase agreement. Okay. It's not signed by the agents. It's only signed by the buyers and sellers. In this case, there's one seller and one buyer, P and G. So that correct answer is C. Thank you, Dan. Questions? Well, just holler them out or type them in. Either will work. Number 6. A contract that is only binding to one party, such as an option to purchase a piece of land, is that's 2, bilateral. No, that's for 2, not 1. Okay, how about B? Unilateral. Ooh, hang on to that one. Is it executed? Well, executed means is it signed or not, or is it over? Activated. Guys, it's one person, uni. It's B, unilateral. But hopefully that one won't get you. Bi is 2, uni is 1. Okay. And that gave it away when they said one party. Number 7, please. Okay, can contracts be rescinded? Yeah, any contract can be rescinded if the buyer backs out, the seller feels the price is too low. We already agreed to the price. It's pretty hard to back out once you've signed a contract. Hey, I like C, both parties agree. So there's kind of this mutual thing that, let's just cancel the deal. Or D, the parties are married. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, that has nothing to do with it. It is C, my friends. It is C. Both parties have to agree. Both parties agree to make the contract. Wouldn't it make sense that both parties would have to agree to terminate the contract? Makes perfect sense to me. I hope it does to you too. Let's look at number 8, please. Number 8, K was hired to manage a large apartment complex. Cool. Only they call it a building. He would be functioning as which type of agent? What kind of agent would he be? Hired to manage it. Okay. Management takes a lot of different activities. You have to collect money, you have to pay for, you have to arrange for and pay repairs, collect rent sometimes, maybe handle evictions, and I already mentioned repairs, but there's a lot of general maintenance that has to be done too, and collecting rents and all other kinds of things. So, what kind of contract would that be? Would it be specific? Would it be like an attorney in fact that you're just, you're out of town, so you ask your brother-in-law to sign that deed, on that lot you sold? Okay, that would be a power of attorney. Okay, an attorney in fact is a person who was given the power of attorney, general or universal. Well, it's not going to be universal, and it's not going to be attorney in fact, and it's not going to be specific, guys. It's going to be general because you're going to be doing a lot of different things, and we already mentioned them: collecting rents, making repairs, evicting tenants, processing new tenants, determining who gets to move in, all kinds of things. So it's a you know, general agency. Okay, let's look at number 9. One of my favorites. Z is listed a property. I love it when you list properties. Okay, you get to put up a sign, people see it. It's great. If you're working a neighborhood and you can get one or two or three signs up in that neighborhood, and then they all sell. I remember, boy, you're just rocking it in our neighborhood. You didn't sell any of them. You just listed them. But the listing agent gets all the credit. So I like listing properties, even though somebody else brought a buyer, usually, unless you found your own. But Z disclosed that they would have no representation in the buyer's agreement in writing. Okay. When writing the offer, the buyers asked Z what they should offer, and Z responded, "Oh, 93% of the listed price would be good," which applies. Okay. Now, is Z representing them? Now, look back at a question. At the question, Z listed the property, and the buyers came and expressed interest in it, and that's great. That's what you want. Z disclosed that they would have no representation. Okay. Now they're asking for advice. Well, okay, let's look at our answers here. This is limited agency and legal. Z is properly representing the seller and obtaining an offer. This is ostensible authority between Z and the buyers. Okay, ostensible means apparent. Z's created implied agency with the seller. It's not implied, it's ostensible. Okay. And so the answer is C. You're not properly representing the seller, if you're giving him advice on how to construct the offer. If they don't have their own agent, well, they've got to figure that out on their own. What you would do if someone's working and if they're working to buy a property, if they came to your property, let's say it's an open house, it's your listing, and they walk in and they say, well, do you think I could offer 93% of the listed price? Do you think that'd be good enough? What you say is, well, folks, I don't know what they would take, except I know for certain they would take the full listing price. Okay. Uh, if you want to make an offer, but I can't really advise you on that. I really work for the seller, and the price I recommend is, hey, if you want it for sure, pay the full listing price. Might even be worth more than the listing price. Okay. Ostensible means apparent. Let's look at 10, please. Number 10 says, which of the following is not? Ooh, I love it how they make that capitalized, and so you don't miss it. One of the fiduciary duties of a property manager acting under a contract between a broker and a property owner. Which one is not one of your duties? How about loyalty and obedience? Absolutely. How about D, confidentiality? Absolutely. Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. What's that have to do between the broker and their client? Nothing. Caveat emptor really applies more to unrepresented buyers. I mean, hey, let the buyer be aware. I mean, we don't represent you. So correct answer to this one, guys, is C, of course. Caveat emptor. Emptor. Okay. Going to be on the test. I hope you got that one. Number 11. Number 11 says broker B received an offer for a property she's listed. Cool. You love that. Listing states that the property has sewer hookups. Property actually has a septic tank. Oh my goodness. She assumed it had a sewer, but when they really start digging into it, they find out it had a septic. Well, so what should broker B do? Well, submit a counteroffer to correct the misconception. B, do nothing because the sewer hookups are a matter of public record. You know, they can go find out if they wanted to. C, revise the listing with the seller to disclose accuracy. Or D, refuse the listing. Well, I'm not going to refuse a listing. I mean, that's what we do for a living. And the other two, you know, being, you know, the public record. This is, people don't check the public record when they're buying a property usually on every single detail because they assume that the information that the listing agent is giving them is accurate and true. So if that's the case, you know, our answer to number 11, guys, is C. You got to revise the listing with the seller to disclose accurately. So it's actually truthful, you know, and make sure that everyone got that. If you know that you've already received the offer, but before you let them sign it, you say, I need to clarify something. You know, we had a mistake on the listing. Um, you know, I'll get that changed in the MLS, so in perpetuity it'll be there and everything. But I want you to understand that we thought it had sewer hookups, and now we find out it has a septic tank. So, you know, just want to make that. And you disclose that in writing. I would at very least, send them a text or an email. Texts really haven't been adjudicated, so I would definitely send them an email or get them to sign some sort of acknowledgement, a property description acknowledgement that said that you know, they understand that there was a mistake on the listing and this property actually has a septic tank, but we decided to go ahead and proceed with our offer. Number 12. Actually, what you should do is get it accurate the first time so you don't have to mess with all that, you know. But check things out. You might think it had a sewer. And it might be in the middle of a city that everything's on sewer, but it's a really old pioneer type property and it may never have hooked up. So you got to, you know, the listing agent really needs to do a job and make sure that everything is accurate on that listing. Number 12. Now, M took a listing. I love listings. Which of the following situation best describes the concept of designated agency? The contract states what on designated agency? Well, the broker and all agents in the office will represent the seller. No, designated agency is where a broker tells, okay, agent A, you're going to represent the seller, and agent B, you're going to represent the buyer. You know, it's kind of like an in-house sale, but there's designated agency, so one is representing the other. Don't have to do that. I mean, both agents could represent both people, like in a short sale or something, but generally that's not going to be the case, you know, unless it is something oddball like that. So let's look at our answers here. Well, on number 12, it says A, the broker and all agents in the office will represent the seller. Well, that's not designated agency. That's everyone representing the seller. That's single agency. B, the broker and M will represent the seller. Man, hang on to that one. Okay. Look at C. The broker is a limited agent and M represents the seller. If the broker was a limited agent, he'd be representing both people, but that really doesn't talk about designated agency. Okay. And D, all agents in the office will be designated as limited agents. Correct answer to this one, my friends, is the letter B. The broker and M will represent the seller. Okay. And in this case, you would use, in our state, in Utah here, what we call the unrepresented buyer's disclosure, you know, where they sign a disclosure saying, you know, we could get an agent, but we really don't feel like we need one. You know, everything's pretty clear cut. This is our 9th house we bought. You know, my dad's a lawyer. He'll look everything over, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, you don't always have to have an agent, you know. I mean, M took the listing. He's representing the seller. The broker and M will represent the seller because they took the listing. The only way they'd represent the buyer is if they took a buyer's listing, and then they would be limited agents. But that's not the case here. They didn't tell you that. Let's look at number 13, please. R, list a house for P for 186, if you can find one. B tells R he must sell soon, and he will accept offers as low as 177. Ooh, okay, great. R makes a note of P's bottom line and attaches it to the listing form information sheet of his brokers, ABC Realty, and then puts it in a file. All right, so another agent in the office comes in, J, and he sees the listing and immediately offers to purchase the property for himself for 177. Where did he get that idea? Like he saw the notes attached to the listing contract. It was listed for 186. So you don't put a note attached that into public files in the office that says that, hey, they take really 177, unless they told you to, but in that case, why keep it at 186, change the price of 177, get all kinds of people, maybe even a bidding war. So what's R going to do now? Okay, present the offer as written. Okay, or you can inform P that J is at the same office and knows P's bottom line. Would you think that'd be fair? You got to go back to your sellers and say, hey, we got another agent in our office named Jay, and he wants to buy your property. He wants to live in it for himself. It's really cool. He's well qualified. It should work out just fine. Um, but he also knows your bottom line because he lives in our office and works in our office. Maybe doesn't live there, but actually, he doesn't feel like he lives there. C, and involve agent L so that R can collect both commissions. Refuse to present an offer. Oh, I just can't. You're in the same office I am. I have to refuse to present your offer. Give me a break. Well, we had an offer on your house. It was 2 weeks ago. I didn't tell you about it because the guy who wanted to buy it, was in our house. He was in our office, and he wanted to live in your house. Yeah, that's going to go across real well. What's wrong with that? Was it a decent offer? It was 177. Oh, we would have taken that. They're not going to be happy campers. They want their house sold. All right, so 13, guys, what do you think? Well, obviously, it's B. Inform P that J is in the same office and knows their bottom line. Okay? And they're going to say, well, we'd like to get a little more, but hey, 177 is great. And it's, we get a quick deal and we know what, when it's going to close, and we know that this guy's well qualified, and, the bird in the hand's better than, those that are hiding in the bushes, and they may never come out. Number 14. Okay, L submits an offer to buy A's property. L is a vendee, vendor, offeree, offeror. Okay, if L is submitting an offer, they're not selling the property. That would be the vendors, the vendees and the vendor. Okay, vendee is actually the buyer. They're on the buying activity. We haven't got there yet. A hasn't accepted the offer. So at this point, L is going to be an offeror or an offeree. Well, the givors are the ORs. So if L is submitting an offer, he is the OR. He's the giver. The receiver is the offeree. They're receiving it. Okay, so, but they're not vendor vendee. That's on this. That means selling. This is all about offers, and you should have noticed that. And script and up above. So we're going to go with C. Oh no, we better go with D because they're giving the offer, so the offeror. Okay, the receiver would be the EE. Okay. Are you having fun yet? I hope so. You can pass this exam, and you can pass it the first time. We have so many practice tests that you can take. And it would be really wise if you took those tests, and I wouldn't even go in to take the state test for real unless I was getting 80, 85%, maybe even 89%, on those practice exams. Because that means you're ready. If you're getting 60, 70% on the practice exam, it's not a passing score. You're not ready. Either you're not, yeah, the ones from the school, JD. We have a lot of practice exams from the school that are really very helpful because they bear a striking resemblance to the type of questions you're actually going to see. And we have dozens and dozens and dozens of these videos where we go through anywhere from, small end, maybe 14, 15 to a high end of, 19 questions in about an hour. These, they take about an hour, but it helps you get the ideas across, so. It's one thing to think you know it, but it's another thing to be sitting there staring at a question and have to choose one of four answers. Okay. That's where you really know if you know it or not. Let's look at number 15. By the way, I would suggest you read the stem of the question twice. So I would do like this. A home goes under contract for sale. The seller includes in the purchase price for the home to include in the sale the riding lawnmower and trampoline. What is true? Okay. Home goes under contract for sale. The seller includes the purchase agreement in the purchase agreement for the house. Oh, he wants the lawnmower and the trampoline. So what is true? So now you have a really good idea of what the question is. Now we look at the answers, okay? And we look at the A, the riding lawnmower and the trampoline must be transferred to the buyer. Well, yeah, if they're included in the sale. B, the riding lawnmower must be transferred, but not the trampoline. Well, wait a minute. If they're both in the contract and they're personal property, but they're included in the purchase, sometimes a lot of personal property is included in the purchase. I've seen all kinds of things, like big, huge TVs that are too heavy to move out of the basement. Just leave it, we'll just include that in the sale. Tough sheds, all the time you see those. Look at C, the riding lawnmower need not be included, but God, got to do that trampoline. Well, if A's not any good, no, wait a minute. If B's not any good, then C's not any good either. Look at D. The seller does not need to include either the riding lawnmower or the trampoline since they're personal property, but their personal property included in the sale. It said so in the stem of the question. So it's got to be A. The riding lawnmower trampoline must be transferred to the buyer. Why? Because it was included in the sale. And sometimes refrigerators are included. Usually the range is included, in our area. If you're coming from the South, like South Carolina and that part of the country, it's very customary to leave all the appliances, the refrigerator, the washer, dryer, they just leave them all. They say, oh, we'll just buy new stuff and we'll go to the new house. There's a lot of wisdom in that because a lot of times people rip the vinyl trying to get the refrigerator out of the kitchen. It costs more to replace the vinyl that they ripped than the refrigerator, than the used refrigerator was worth. Okay. Okay. So let's go to 16, please. Okay. After listing the property, a broker discovers some improvements too close to the line. What is the line? The boundary line. Oh my gosh. In other words, they're in the setback. So he looked up. This is a great broker. He's very thorough. So he looks up and says, okay, from the property line, it has, a side setback of 15 feet, required by zoning or required by CC&Rs of the subdivision or required by something. Okay. And, but, he goes out and measures and oh my gosh, that garage that they built is only 8 feet from the property lines. So it's encroaching into that strip, where it's not supposed to be there. All right. So what's he got to do? Well, guys, tell the seller, well, yeah, he's going to, but consider this information a material fact. See, sometimes you have to pick the best answer. Yeah, you're going to tell the seller, but he's going to, consider this information a material fact. The correct answer to this one, guys, is B. B. That's it. C. Do nothing because the situation is not a material fact. Of course, it's a material fact. Material fact is any fact that a buying decision might hinge on, and we're in the setback. This is going to be a real mess. In order to clean this up, you might have to go to the city and get some sort of an agreement saying, yeah, it was built that way, it was improper, but we're going to allow it and we're going to allow you to keep it that way. But it's going to be a lot of work. Material facts, anything that has great input that could change their decision to buy or to sell. And sometimes it has to do with a lot. This is something that's going to take a lot of money. Okay, so. But it is a material fact. Could be devastating. Number 17, please. J receives an offer for the purchase of their home through their agent. Cool. The offer is 12 pages long and full of all kinds of legally gobbledygook language. What should the agent do? Well, what do you think you should do? I mean, what do you have to do? Okay. Well, let's look and see what the answers say. Have Jay sign, accept the offer, and then review all the clauses with him. Yeah, just go ahead and sign this, and then I'll explain it. No, 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 no. How about B, review all the clauses with Jay before having him sign to accept the offer? Okay. You need to know what you're getting into. And here's what all these clauses mean. I like that. C, have Jay reject the offer and then review the clauses before submitting a counteroffer. Well, maybe the offer was totally acceptable. You didn't need to counter it. D, scan the offer to make sure it's standard. Have Jay sign to accept the offer. Okay, I don't know about how scanning any contract's going to, make sure it's standard or not. I mean, you're going to have somebody look at it, but, just scanning it won't do that. Oh, yeah, the scanner scanned it, so it must be okay. No, 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 okay. No. Okay, all right. Number 17, my friends, is B. Review all the clauses with your seller, and then before having him sign to accept the offer. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to review all these clauses with you so that you understand what you're agreeing to right here at the get-go. If there's anything that's not acceptable to you, well, then we're going to have to counter back, okay, and change it. That's giving good advice to your, the people you pledge to protect. You have fiduciary responsibility in our state to those people. Many states, they don't have fiduciaries. I mean, well, not many. I mean, Florida doesn't, Colorado doesn't. And there's a few others. I mean, you can choose not to be a fiduciary in both those states. But here in Utah, you must represent someone. And that's either the buyer or the seller or both. Number 18. Number 18 says a home inspector would likely find issues with what it's selling for, the market price. Is that what a home inspector does? No. Furnish or water systems. I like that. Property stigma. A stigma is something that would make the property seem to some people less desirable. Somebody died in the house. There was a property we sold a number of years ago where a lady died in the house, and unfortunately, that wasn't discovered for about 2 weeks. I mean, newspaper mail was stacking up, and the neighbors said, what happened to Dorothy? I mean, she's not even getting her, have you even seen her in and out? No, let's go. They peek in the window, and they didn't see much, but they peek in the garage window, their car's there, and say, something is really wrong. So they call the cops. The cops come, they force entry into the home, and then they find her dead in the house. Well, that was a stigmatized property. Someone had died in the house. Now, is that a material fact? Well, it might be to somebody, but in our state, we passed a law that said that stigmatized properties cannot be considered a material fact. But it might, I mean, that's just a legalese, okay? Neighborhood demographics has nothing to do with demographics. It's nothing to do with furnace and water systems. There's nothing to do with the market price, really, or does it? Ah, yes, because this is all about a home inspector, not a potential buyer. So a home inspector would likely find issues with not the market price, not things that would stigmatize, and not neighborhood demographics. We don't even do demographics because we're not supposed to know that, well, are there any, I mean, like those Irishmen that live around here? I don't want to live in a neighborhood where there's, mostly Irishmen, Okay. We don't discriminate based on national origin, so. Nah, home inspector is going to do, he's going to look at the physical aspects of the property, foundation, paint, cracks in the foundation, or, but he's also going to look at the systems, the furnace and water systems as well. So the answer to this one, of course, is B. Okay, hey, one more question for tonight. And it is number 19. And it says, when dealing with a land contract or uniform real estate contract. Now, a land contract is a shorter name for the uniform real estate contract. But you might insinuate, from the fact that it's land contract, it only deals with land. Well, okay, I'll buy that. So if you want one contract that is carrying a loan and you're going to do seller financing and whatever else. That might be a uniform real estate contract. Which of the following choices is not one of the available remedies for default? Okay, so you have a land contract or uniform real estate contract and it goes into default. Well, which one of these would not be a good remedy? Okay, look at A. Dang no, dang near hide. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to take those doorknobs off. I'm going to change the locks and I'm going to hold on to everything that they have in possession of that house until they pay me all the back rent or the back, you know, payments actually on this one. Okay. B, use steps of foreclosure to get them out. Okay. Now, are we looking for things that are good or not good? We'll look at our question again. It says the following choices are not one of the available remedies. Okay, use steps of foreclosure. Okay, treat them as renters and evict them. Hire an attorney to collect the back amounts owed. Okay, use foreclosure proceedings in court. Now, those last three are all good. I mean, they're buying the property, but they're not. They're buying it under uniform real estate contract or a land contract, which means that they're making payments and they haven't received. They have equitable title, but they don't have legal title to the property. And in other words, the property has not been deeded to them yet. That's why sometimes we call a uniform real estate contract, we call it a contract for deed as well. Like this is a land contract, it's a contract to buy the land. Okay, so any of those on the bottom there are great. But you can't just change the locks and hold their belongings as security for back payments owed. Okay. Now, when you're talking about rentals, there are procedures in rental, but this didn't talk about rentals. They talked about a purchase with a land contract or uniform real estate contract. So let's look at A. And let's highlight A because that's the correct answer. Well, we appreciate you being with us tonight. Now, I want to admonish you, we have a number of these little videos. And, it's taken us about 45 minutes here to go through them all for this one tonight. This is a great thing to do to test your knowledge to see where you are. And a lot of these are categorized. In other words, we have a section that deals with appraisal. We have some others that deal with contracts, and we have others that deal with ownership, in this sort of thing. So after you have studied a section in the manual or in the class curricula, let's say you just finished appraisal, okay? Then it might be good to go back and take the appraisal test, and see where you are, and if there are things that were sketchy on and you didn't really know, or you guess and you didn't get it right, just, go back and go over that again. Remember, we want you to pass the first time. I don't want you to have to pay for that twice, or 2 times or 3 times or something. No. We don't want that. We want you to pass the first time. For one thing, we don't want you screwing up our stats. We have the highest passing rate of any school in the state of Utah. But I'm really joking. We're really thinking about you. You don't want to go through that agony of doing that all over again. We want you to pass the first time, walk out of there confident, joyful, go out for a celebratory beverage or a celebratory dinner and know that that's behind you now. And now you just need to choose a broker and do a lot of paperwork and get it going. Thanks for being with us tonight. And thanks for supporting our school. It means a lot to us. This is, in my humble opinion, I've been doing these classes now on pre-licensing since 1980 as a licensed instructor in several states. And I really appreciate what Dan has done here at the Institute of Real Estate Education and putting all these different videos together so that you can have kind of like a test simulation, So take advantage of it. Thanks for being with us tonight, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for watching. If you want to show some appreciation to our instructors, be sure to like and subscribe so that they see how much you enjoyed it. And if you want any additional review material, check the links below for our full suite of practice materials for the real estate license exam. Thank you.